His music videos weren't just art, they were confessions. And when a 15-year-old girl's body was found in his Tesla, people realized the story was already written. A mother searched for her missing daughter. Police dismissed her as a runaway. But when her body was found dismembered in Hollywood Hills, the question became, who failed her? Imagine a singer bringing coffins on stage, asking fans to write letters to the dead. At the time, it felt like shock value art. But when a teenager's body turned up in his car, it was no longer just performance. A music video shows a body dragged into a trunk. Months later, a 15-year-old girl is found the exact same way in his Tesla. The question is, was he confessing long before the crime? Let me ask you one question. Was his music just art, or was it a hidden confession we all ignored? It almost feels like David was confessing before the crime ever happened. In one interview, he spoke about solving murders I committed myself, describing a killer holding a bloody knife while being haunted by the ghost of his victim. Today, those words sound less like art and more like a warning of what was to come. And now, as people gather at Celeste's funeral, David has finally broken his silence with a speech no one expected. From cryptic social media posts to disturbing footage, every new discovery has reshaped the way people view this tragedy. The case of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose dismembered body was found in David's Tesla, has exposed evidence so dark it shook the entire industry. What investigators found was not a random act of violence, but the unraveling of a double life. David Anthony Burke, known to fans simply as David, had been living in shadows far darker than his music ever suggested. The chilling part? His songs and videos seemed to tell the story long before reality caught up. In his lyrics, David wasn't just being artistic, he was laying out his actions step by step. Nobody noticed until it was far too late. The parallels became even harder to ignore when his February 2025 music video, One More Dance, resurfaced. In it, he drags a bloodied body and hides it in the trunk of a car eerily similar to how Celeste's remains were later discovered in his Tesla. Even his live shows now look different in hindsight. During his Withered World tour, David staged mock funerals, bringing caskets on stage and asking fans to write letters to the dead. At the time, it seemed like shock value art. But now, with Celeste already gone during those performances, it feels calculated and deeply unsettling. This pattern wasn't new. Back in 2022, David introduced an alter ego he called Itami, and a name he said meant pain in Japanese. Itami was a chaotic version of himself, an evil twin who committed murders that David, in his own narrative, would then solve. At the time, it sounded like creative storytelling. Today, it reads like a confession hiding in plain sight. But the revelations didn't stop with his art. Digital evidence pointed to an even darker motive. Screenshots suggested David had been secretly involved with Celeste and may have even gotten her pregnant. If true, that detail would explain a lot. It could explain the secrecy, the manipulation, and why he may have felt desperate to silence her. By mid-2024, David had made cryptic posts online about having a kid on the way. At the time, most fans brushed it off as vague captions or just another one of his sad boy persona moments. But looking back, those posts hit different. If Celeste really was the one he was talking about, she would have been barely 14 years old. That chilling possibility has many believing her pregnancy was the spark that ultimately led to her death. The more investigators dug, the clearer it became that David wasn't just reckless, he was calculated. He used his online image and emotional music to attract vulnerable young fans. His lyrics painted him as misunderstood, broken, and lonely. That sad boy brand connected deeply with kids who felt isolated, giving him a constant pipeline of followers searching for comfort and validation. For predators, that kind of access is like a goldmine. And Celeste wasn't invisible. She had been reported missing 3 separate times in 2024. Each time, the Riverside County Sheriff's Office marked her as a runaway. That label might sound harmless, but it's deadly. It meant less urgency, fewer resources, and basically treating her case as routine, instead of what it truly was, a pattern of exploitation. The first time was on Valentine's Day, February 14, 2024. She was only 13. Police found her days later in Hollywood Hills, right in the same area where David was staying. Instead of asking the hard questions, like why a missing teenager was near a rising celebrity's rental, they just brought her home and closed the case. That was a missed chance to save her life. The same thing happened again in March, then again in April. That final time, she told her family she was heading to the movies with her brother. Instead, she vanished completely. What followed was over a year of silence. While her family begged for answers, Celeste's life slipped deeper into the shadows of LA's entertainment scene. When her remains were discovered in September 2025, wrapped in plastic and hidden inside the trunk of David's Tesla, the truth was undeniable. Somebody had gone to extreme lengths to cover this up. The body was decomposed, dismembered, and abandoned in a car that neighbors had seen moving from block to block for weeks. The Tesla was damaged, taped together, and registered directly to David. That wasn't an accident. That was deliberate concealment. What made it worse was the location. The car was dumped barely a block and a half from a Hollywood Hills mansion leased under the name of Josh Marshall, David's manager at Interscope Records. That house, costing $20,000 a month, quickly became a focus of investigators. Was that where Celeste's life ended? Was the Tesla parked nearby as a temporary hiding spot? Those questions remain unanswered, but the connections were impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, the music industry scrambled to protect itself. The moment Celeste's identity was confirmed, Interscope Records cut all ties. Promotion stopped, his album rollout was dead in the water, and his tours were canceled overnight. Brands like Crocs and Hollister quietly dropped him, issuing vague statements about taking allegations seriously. But the speed of their reaction made people wonder, did they already know something was wrong? Had there been whispers behind closed doors long before the public found out? For Celeste's family, none of that corporate damage control mattered. Their focus was on grieving a child who had been failed by everyone, failed by law enforcement, failed by the system, and failed by the adults who should have protected her. A GoFundMe raised over $50,000 to cover her funeral costs, showing how deeply the community felt her loss. Her brother Matthew said it best in a raw social media post, "We lost our girl. She trusted someone who didn't protect her." Those words hit like a knife. At the same time, David's own art became evidence. Fans began dissecting his unreleased songs, demo tapes, and cryptic posts, searching for hidden clues. That December 2023 demo, Celeste Unfin, took on new meaning. If it was about her, then David had been writing obsessive, sexual lyrics about a child. His music, once seen as emotional expression, now looked more like a paper trail of grooming. And then came the pregnancy rumors. Screenshots, old posts, and private DMs started surfacing. Theories spread like wildfire. Some people believed Celeste had confided in friends about being pregnant. Others thought David's cryptic "kid on the way" post was the smoking gun. While investigators haven't confirmed this detail, it looms over the case like a shadow. If Celeste was pregnant, it would not only prove their relationship was real, it would expose a motive for why she had to be silenced. The legal side remained slow. The LA County Medical Examiner struggled to determine cause of death due to the state of Celeste's remains. Without clear toxicology results or a confirmed timeline, prosecutors had to wait before pressing charges. But even without an arrest, the public has already drawn its own conclusions. To many, the evidence speaks for itself. David used his fame to groom, exploit, and ultimately destroy a vulnerable young girl. Celeste's story is more than one tragedy. It's a reflection of bigger problems. How celebrity culture shields dangerous people. How law enforcement dismisses missing kids as runaways. How the music industry values profit over protection. And how social media blurs the line between fan and predator. Now, the streets are demanding justice. The hashtags, the protests, the online pressure, it's all building. Celeste's name won't fade into another headline. Not until accountability is served. Not until the system changes. Because her death wasn't just a crime. It was a failure of every layer of protection a child should have had. And the world is watching. The investigation also tied back to David's team. A Hollywood Hills property where Celeste was seen during one of her disappearances was leased under the name of his manager, Josh Marshall, at Interscope Records. When federal agents raided the home, Marshall quickly dropped the $20,000 a month lease, raising even more suspicions. Meanwhile, online detectives poured gasoline on the fire. Social media turned into a war zone, with millions of people piecing together clues, analyzing photos, and sharing theories under trending hashtags. Some demanded justice, while others disturbingly blamed Celeste herself, pointing to fake IDs instead of holding an adult accountable for manipulating a child. Through all of this, David stayed silent. His last post was September 5, 2025, just 3 days before Celeste's body was found. While lawyers likely told him to keep quiet, the silence only fueled public suspicion. Because to many, silence is guilt when a child is gone. Legally, prosecutors moved slowly. The body was too decomposed to give a clear cause of death, leaving gaps the defense could exploit. On paper, David was still presumed innocent. But in the court of public opinion, the verdict was already decided. Nobody accidentally ends up dismembered in a trunk. The fallout hit fast. Intercope Records pulled promotions, brands cut ties, and collaborations were canceled overnight. The industry's speed made people wonder, did insiders already know what was coming? Either way, one truth remains: David's art was never just art. It was a diary of violence, hiding in plain sight, until the day fiction became reality. What shocked people most wasn't just the crime itself, it was David's behavior afterward. Even after Celeste's body was discovered, reports showed him online, casually playing Fortnite as if nothing had happened. Just yesterday, his account was tracked running several matches in a casual mode. To many, it felt unsettling, like his whole life was falling apart, yet he was still gaming, detached from reality, raising serious questions about his state of mind. But this case isn't only about one man's disturbing actions. It's about how his art, his industry connections, and his silence painted a picture of someone who was committing crimes in real life while packaging them as entertainment. For Celeste's family, the tragedy was unbearable. For the public, it became a harsh reminder of how money and fame can shield predators, and how vulnerable young girls, especially those without protection, can slip through the cracks. The digital trail left behind revealed just how deep this ran. Investigators discovered years of calculated grooming, starting when Celeste was barely out of elementary school. By the time LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division raided the Hollywood Hills mansion on September 17, 2025, they knew they were looking at more than just a single act of violence. Over 20 detectives and forensic specialists spent hours combing through the house, using luminol to search for hidden bloodstains in drains and floors, determined to uncover where Celeste's final moments happened. The warrant allowed them to seize everything: phones, laptops, hard drives, even David's PlayStation 5, the same console he used for Twitch streams where investigators believe he first connected with Celeste. Evidence suggested his manager may have also played a role, possibly helping cover tracks while David was on tour. Digital forensics went further back, uncovering Discord messages between David and Celeste dating to 2022, when she was only 12 and he was 17. It wasn't random. It was the start of a grooming pattern as old as it was predictable. An older guy with clout makes a young girl feel special, isolates her from others, and slowly blurs every boundary. David used music and fame as bait, drawing her deeper into his world. One of the most damning pieces of evidence was a leaked demo from December 2023 titled Celeste. The lyrics described obsession, intimacy, and possession, all written about a girl who was only 13 at the time. What sounded like a love song now reads like evidence, with disturbing lines about her name tattooed on his chest and her presence lingering like smoke on his clothes. Meanwhile, investigators uncovered a sophisticated cover-up. Celeste had multiple fake IDs, driver's licenses, student cards, making her appear 19. This wasn't just a teenager sneaking into clubs, it was a system built to disguise an illegal relationship. With these IDs, she could travel and appear in adult spaces without drawing suspicion, even convincing people around David that she was of age. Evidence suggested hush money was also involved. Photos surfaced of David handing out cash near Celeste's hometown. While it could have been brushed off as generosity, the timing and location made many believe he was paying locals to stay quiet about her real age and their relationship. The investigation also uncovered matching tattoos. Both David and Celeste had the word "sh" inked on their index fingers. She was only 14 when she got hers, a tattoo that should have required parental consent. To authorities, this wasn't just ink, it symbolized control, secrecy, and the kind of bonding predators use to trap their victims. Celeste's runaway incidents also made more sense in hindsight. Each disappearance lined up with time spent near David, including one case in February 2024 where she was found at the very Hollywood Hills property later raided by police. Neighbors described seeing them together often, assuming she was older, loading groceries, holding hands, acting like a couple. To outsiders, it looked ordinary. In reality, it was anything but. This wasn't random tragedy. It was a carefully hidden operation, years in the making, finally brought into the light. What unsettled people most was how normal David tried to act. Even after Celeste's body was discovered, he was still active online, casually streaming Fortnite like nothing happened. A deleted Twitch clip from February 2024 resurfaced, and it raised even more suspicion. In the stream, a female voice, believed to be Celeste, made comments about controversial topics. David quickly panicked, told his moderators to delete everything and cut the stream short. To many, it felt like he was covering his tracks because an underage girl was right there beside him. On April 5, 2024, she disappeared for good. She told her family she was going to the movies with her brother, but never came back. For more than a year, she was missing in plain sight, moving through the LA entertainment scene while her family begged for answers. Her brother Matthew summed up their heartbreak on social media: "We lost our girl. She trusted someone who didn't protect her." After the discovery, the connections between David and Celeste became undeniable. Celeste's mother admitted her daughter had mentioned dating someone named David, though the family had never met him. The tattoos confirmed a bond. And most haunting of all, David's own music, filled with eerie foreshadowing, had been documenting their relationship long before the truth came out. That leaked track, Celeste Demo Unfin, from December 2023, shocked everyone. The lyrics sounded way too personal, way too obsessive about someone named Celeste. If those words were really about Celeste Rivas, that meant David was writing sexual, possessive music about her when she was only 13 years old. The music industry reacted fast. Interscope Records instantly cut all promotion for David's album. Big brands like Crocs and Hollister dropped him right away. But the speed of those moves raised eyebrows. Some people believe insiders already knew something wasn't right long before the public found out. Then there was the Tesla. That car told its own story. A black 2023 Model X with Texas plates, all dented up, spoiler taped together, spotted in different places around the Hollywood Hills. Neighbors said they noticed it moving from street to street, like someone was trying to buy time, avoiding anyone getting too close. And of course, the Tesla was registered to David, who just happens to be from Texas. The spot where the car was finally found made things even more suspicious. It was parked barely a block and a half away from a luxury Hollywood Hills rental, leased under the name of Josh Marshall, David's manager at Interscope Records. That house cost $20,000 a month and quickly became the focus of the investigation. Detectives needed to know, did the murder happen there? The condition of Celeste's remains made everything harder. Her body was so badly decomposed and damaged that the LA County Medical Examiner couldn't immediately confirm the exact cause or even the timeline of her death. They had to wait on toxicology and deeper testing. That's why no arrest came right away, even though the evidence against David was piling up. For Celeste's family back in Lake Elsinore, the discovery brought both closure and heartbreak. After more than a year of searching, they finally had answers, but the worst possible ones. A GoFundMe raised over $50,000 to help cover funeral costs, proof that her community cared deeply and wanted to support her family through the pain. Investigators started digging into David's lyrics, his unreleased songs, even his public appearances. Everything became potential evidence, and everything fueled new theories online. Some theories were based on facts. Others spiraled into pure speculation. But one thing was clear: this case revealed serious flaws in how the system treats missing kids. Celeste had been reported missing 3 times in 2024, and every single time, she was labeled a runaway. That label meant fewer resources, less urgency, and missed red flags that should have shown she was being groomed and exploited. Her story is more than just a tragedy, it's a warning. About how celebrities can use their influence to hide dark truths. About how social media can put kids in danger. And about how broken our systems are when it comes to protecting vulnerable teens. Now, the streets are demanding justice. Celeste's name won't be forgotten until accountability is served.